Shalom. This is Nizama Shalhamadabar Yasharal on my channel, Nizama the Hebrew Mystic Healer. Before I get started, as always, I'd like to show some love to my 3D Ken, the 12 tribes of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites scattered to the four corners of this third dimensional earth plane of existence. Much love and shalom to you. Also to show some love to my cosmic kin, the Nibiru, the Primordial, Anunnaki, Starseeds scattered to the 12 dimensions of this universal egg matrix. Much love and shalom to you as well. And as always, I would like to show some love and appreciation to my viewers, especially those of you who are subscribed. If you're not yet subscribed, please do so now, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new material. Also, if you like this video, let me know by giving me a like. It does help, guys. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a lesser-known constellation that is making a comeback, and that is Ophiuchus. Now, I wasn't actually going to do this video for another week or so, but I just felt like the energy was right for it, so I want to go ahead and do it. And I have had a few clients and Facebook friends of me that have been asking me to do a video on Ophiuchus, who have Ophiuchus incarnations and placements, some who are Ophiuchus starseeds. So I'm going to go ahead and do that today. So let me give just a brief background on Ophiuchus. Now, this may be a little different than what many of you have heard about Ophiuchus. Usually Ophiuchus is depicted as a male holding a snake, known as a snake handler, or the snake bearer, or the snake holder. And that serpent that Ophiuchus is holding is actually the Serpent's constellation. So 9 out of 10 times, and not always, but 9 out of 10 times, if somebody has an incarnation on serpents, they usually have an incarnation in Ophiuchus. Not always the case, but it's very common. So why is Ophiuchus depicted as a man? Well, Ophiuchus is the 13th constellation. It was cut out of the zodiac when ancient people stopped following the 13-month lunar calendar, which is actually a more organic calendar than the Gregorian that we're following now. So when they stopped doing that and they wanted to create a strictly mechanical, artificial 12-month calendar with 365 days, they cut out Ophiuchus. Now, this has a much more in-depth spiritual, esoteric purpose behind it, but I'm not really going to get into that today. I might talk about that in a future video. But suffice to say that it is really a representation of them trying to remove the mother, because Ophiuchus really represents the dark mother, represents the dark goddess. If you look at Ophiuchus, the original depiction of Ophiuchus was actually something similar to the original snake goddess depictions that you will find in Babylon, in Chaldea, in India, in Egypt. The list goes on. And this is essentially a representation of Ophiuchus in the flesh, that particular celestial placement, but also that particular epithet or archetype of the divine feminine. Those who have Ophiuchus as their starseed origin, or those who have Ophiuchus incarnations, especially prominent Ophiuchus incarnations, are going to have a certain frequency that connects them to the Dark Mother. They're going to carry this within their DNA. They're going to have this within the way that they conduct themselves in their day-to-day lives. And really what it does is it adds this sort of dark, chaotic tilt to how they do things. Now, when I say chaos, I don't mean chaos like something evil or bad. I mean the dark potential. I mean the primordial darkness. So there's actually a lot of connection between Ophiuchus and the galactic center, which I already did a video on. If you guys want to check that out, if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend checking that out after you finish this one, because I go into how the Hunaku, or the galactic center, is actually the gateway vortex back to the void. And Ophiuchus is not too far away from the galactic center. And also, Ophiuchus resonates with the number 13 as the 13th constellation. And the galactic center is the 13th gateway, or the cosmic wound. So there's a lot of overlap there. Now, the Dark Mother resonates at the frequency of 13. And so if you notice throughout pop culture, especially in the last couple hundred years, I'm going to say way before TV and radio was a thing, but going back like several hundred years, really starting with the Roman Catholic Church, it's just kind of carried into more modern pop culture, but I digress. When they decided to vilify the number 13, it was because not only were they wanting to basically have people disassociate from the feminine aspect of themselves, or the 90%, or the unconscious aspect, which makes them more pliable and easier to control, but they also wanted to basically dissuade people from dealing with the number 13 as something evil. They wanted to say that number 13 was evil and 12 was good, so that they could basically keep people here. Because if the 13th gate is the ascension out, then it would stand to reason that they would want to keep people from, resonating on the frequency of 13. So it's just common sense, really. And this is what they do all in general. But again, I don't want to go into that in this particular video. But I feel like it's important to mention for the background, because this is really the backbone of Ophiuchus, and how Ophiuchus starseeds and Ophiuchus incarnated beings that have Ophiuchus in past lives really have this in their cosmic records and their cosmic tree. So I feel like it's important to really touch on this. So the energy of the 13 is really the energy of the primordial womb. It's the energy of the current of creation and destruction, represented by holding the serpent, or holding the current of creation and destruction. It also represents in many ways the kundalini rising, as a person is the bearer of the serpent and they've mastered the serpent, so that could represent the kundalini rising as well. Also, Ophiuchus represents the wild woman, or the wild man, or the untamed, or the chaotic. Now, again, going back, I want to say it doesn't mean evil. It just means that it represents more of the creative potential, more of the primordial darkness, more of the divine feminine, instead of, the light of formation, instead of order, instead of the divine masculine. So I just kind of want to make that clear. It's not about good and bad, or, dark and light in that polarized sense. It's dealing more with energy frequency and how it impacts these particular epithets. So basically, how does this influence an Ophiuchus starseed or somebody who has Ophiuchus placements? Well, they are going to be creative people by nature if they can master this current of creation and destruction within them. Also, they will tend to be very adept at being hedge witches, of necromancy, dealing with the underworld, shamanism, healing, especially with snake medicine or serpent medicine. They also may have a more in-depth understanding of the esoteric, of occult knowledge, meditation techniques, astral projection, ability to manifest. All of that is going to come with Ophiuchus placements. They're really going to understand that the darkness isn't to be feared, but that it is a big part of them, and it is really their reservoir of power. So that's another tendency of an Ophiuchus starseed. And there's also overlap between Ophiuchus and serpents, and not just in the character traits of the people that have Ophiuchus, but also in their appearance. So for example, whereas serpents, they literally tend to resemble either Hydrian-looking beings or giant anaconda-looking beings that can shapeshift. And Ophiuchus are also serpentine, but they almost look more dinosaur-like or more lizard-like, except with longer necks and tails, because they are serpentine beings that walk on 2 feet bipedally, and they also have arms with claws. This is the more standard, this is the more indigenous appearance of Ophiuchus. However, there are also other types of reptilian and serpentine beings there. There are also some avian beings there as well, some hominid beings. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. But what I have seen prominent come through is that. Another prominent placement in Ophiuchus is the dark fae. Now, this also makes sense because going back to that idea of the darkness being very connected to Ophiuchus and that whole primordial energy. The dark fae really represent and keep and maintain the element of darkness, okay? And I'm not talking about the shadow, and I'm not talking about lower vibrational darkness or negativity. I'm talking about high vibrational darkness. I'm talking about the actual element of darkness. So they are keepers of that, and they help maintain that. And that's also connected to Ophiuchus as well. So I hope that this really helped you guys understand Ophiuchus more. I hope that this was informative and enlightening to you. If you guys think you might have Ophiuchus as one of your incarnations, or you feel you might be an Ophiuchus starseed, definitely reach out to me. I know that I make this known on my channel quite a bit, but just as a reminder for those of you who have never seen my videos before, I am a retro cosmic akashic record reader. I can read your records, and I'm also one of the few readers out there that can access primordial origins. I also don't just touch on starseed and human. I also go into elemental, inferno, angelic, messiah seeds, God seeds, animals, even plants, any type of incarnation that's occurred within the universe that comes up during the course of the reading. I will touch on it, and I will cover it and wrap it up with karmic resolution. Also, if you guys are interested in learning how to learning how to access your own akashic records and find out what different origin points are, different incarnations, I highly recommend looking into my Patreon. I offer so many techniques, guys. I offer advanced shadow work techniques, how to activate your light Merkaba, how to do soul retrieval, how to activate major and minor chakra points, how to access akashic records, how to talk to ancestors, totems, your higher self, your spirit guides, your soul family, and the like. So definitely check this out, guys. I have these links in the drop-down menu if you're interested. Thanks for listening. Thanks for staying tuned, and stay tuned for future videos. Take care, guys. Much love and shalom.